What is going on, guys? If you're having issues like I am, where your power steering is not holding up to having 37-inch tires or even 35-inch tires, it is starting to groan, it is starting to whine, it's starting to create some terrible noises in there. My power steering is not happy. Your power steering might be having some issues. So what I did is I built a power steering RAM setup for under $300. If you're looking at other RAM setups, Redneck RAM was almost 800 bucks. You're going for the PSC full setup, and that was like almost 2 grand. So under $300, that's not bad. So test out the power steering from factory with big old tires on there. My neighbors probably think I'm crazy. I'm up here at my flex tree. So this is where I kind of test things out. It's kind of silly, but it works. So it's struggling really bad trying to turn those big old tires up while you're flexed out. So I'm gonna show you that here. All right, up against the tree right now. You can hear the power steering struggle, but I cannot turn the steering wheel. So I would have to roll back and forth to try and get the steering wheel to turn and get the steering to turn here. This is not a kit you can buy. It's something that you have to kind of source out yourself, but I will make sure and link every single one of these items in the description below, and all of them can be bought off of Amazon. The biggest thing is the actual steering ram rod, the steering ram, the piston. What do you want to call this? The hydraulic steering, the PSC hydraulic steering. You can get this. I got it for $180 on Amazon. It was on sale, so I just snagged it while I could. It comes with all the brackets and everything that you need to either bolt on or weld on. You want to get a heavy-duty clamp. You want to make sure this clamp is specific to the diameter of your steering. Mine is an 1.5 inch steering, so this one's going to clamp down on there. And everything I've read, this is the best one to put on there because it clamps on and holds it very tight. Then you want to get a couple AN fittings. And then you have this tap and drill set. It's a 7/16 drill, and then it's a 1/4 NPT tap set. So you're going to use that as drill into your power steering gearbox, and then that's where you're going to run the lines from and to. Steering box is located right here on the driver's side. You got to take out everything that is in the way. So, yeah. So there are two ways about going this. You can take the entire steering box out. However, I think I'll be able to do it while the steering box is still mounted inside of the car. That's going to help out a lot of the disassembly and reassembly time on there. Part of my job that I do every single day is actually to drill some holes and do stuff like that. So I am very proficient at drilling a hole straight and accurately. If you're not and you have troubles with that, I highly recommend taking the power steering gearbox out of the vehicle and then drilling it on a workbench or something like that. Working our way down here, we're going to be drilling in to spot right here on the upper part and then around the kind of curved area. So we're going to put 2 holes in there, and I'm going to start very small with a very small drill bit and step my way up just a little bit from there each way until I get to the size that we need for that tap and drill. Now that I got the 2 holes drilled out, it is time to actually use the tap. I hate using these things, but it's one of those things that I have to use. So what I find easiest is I find a socket that fits it, a 12-point socket, 4 points in there fit perfectly in it, and then you just kind of slowly cut into it. I'd say do like a full turn, back it off half a turn, do a full turn, back it off half a turn, till it's all the way cut in there. This just takes time. Since the locations are very shallow, how far they can go in, I'm opting to cut just the tip off of this. Make sure you thread both holes as far as they go without bottoming out, and then I'm just going to trim off like probably like 3 threads here so I can fully seat those fittings. Once you have both holes fully tapped, time to clean up. So I'm going to use this little baby magnet here that I'm going to just kind of loop around inside the holes and collect all the extra shavings. Because I left a lot of hydraulic fluid in there, a lot of it came out with it, so it shouldn't have a lot of metal shavings in there. However, this is going to help clean it up just a little bit. I am going to use some O-rings to throw on here to help seal it up a little bit. And we're also going to use a special type of Loctite. So we're going to use Loctite 545. It's made specifically for hydraulic fittings. So you can use it for like brake lines and stuff for these MPT, and not the flare that is covered in stuff. And then just screw them on in. Just like that, both fittings are now in, so we can start putting things back together a little bit. Mounting up the ram to your axle and to your steering, there are two ways to go about it. There's the bolt-on way or there's the weld-on way. With this clamp, you do have the threaded bolts in here that you can thread in. You can go to your local hardware store, pick up a bolt, and use that. That's probably going to be your easiest way of going about it if you don't have a welder. However, I have a welder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld the big old brackets on there. It should sit something just like this. It's going to take a little bit of work to make this work on here, but it shouldn't be too bad. Alright, so there we go. Bracket is all done. It's all painted up. Jumping up under here, I'm going to be using the same mount that the steering stabilizer was mounted into. I'm going to be reusing the steering stabilizer bolt on here, and I'm going to be bolting the ram, the stationary side, up to this mounting point. And then we're going to put the clamp on here, but we're not going to tighten it down. Now that we have the ram hooked at the bottom, and we have the fittings up on the power steering gearbox, it is time to measure out from those fittings all the way down to the pump. You are going to want to remember that you are going to flex because it is on the side of the axle, not the front of the axle. It is going to pivot down and you're going to need a little extra room for that. So don't make some straight down line straight from the fitting. You want to have it kind of soft and smooth going up and over. So what I'm going to do, we're going to take this, measure out to where I need it to be, and then I'm going to double the length. That should accommodate for all the flexing and the routing of it. So I measured it out. We got 7 inches down to the cross member that goes across, 23 inches across that, and then another 5 inches down to the actual the ram. So math, 35 inches right there. I'm going to add on an extra 5 inches for any droop or drop. So there are suspension ideas that are going onto this, so I'm going to add a little bit extra because it will be lifted up a little bit more. But I'm going to do 40 inches for both the hoses. Now again, that is a straight and 90 degree angle, so that will actually give me a lot more because I'll just kind of route it straight through. So I'm going to go run up to the local store and have some hoses made, so I will be right back. Okay, and there we go. I just had some 40-inch hoses made. They are AN6 fittings on each side with a 90 degree, and I had them wrap it with this protective shield, so as things flex, it goes up and down. It doesn't actually rub through the rubber. It's going to hit this plastic and it's going to stay intact. So now what we're going to do is just go run the lines and hook them up. Got everything all tightened down, everything is run up on top and underneath. Now it is time to see which way the steering rod goes in and out as I turn the steering wheel. That is the first thing you must do before you do anything else, is make sure your steering rod from the ram goes towards the driver's side as you turn driver and back the other way. You don't want to blow out the seals in there or mess something up, so let's try that right now. As you can see, I did hook them up in the correct order. So now I need to find the center point on the actual ramrod, so it pushes all the way out, and then I know where that's going to hit for all the way out on the steering. And then dead center, it should be dead center of that the ramrod there. So it is time to do a final mount on here, mount to this bracket, and then it is clocking the actual ram itself, so it is not going to, like, you know, hit this as you're flexing out, because right now it's actually hitting, but the entire ram can be spun. So just got to do that, make sure everything is perfect, and then we can do the final jam nuts on here to lock everything in place. Once everything is all hooked up, it is time to add some fluid into the power steering system. Now specifically with this JK 2012, it is ATF4, same stuff they put in the transmission. But for your specific vehicle and your specific year, you are going to want to look that up and see what is the recommended fluid. minus that leak I just made. Okay, so now that that's done, it is time to turn the steering wheel all the way left and right, over and over and over and over and over again, like 3,000 times. Okay, like 100 times. Checking on the this periodically, making sure that there's all fluids and everything in there, and do it over and over again until no more bubbles and the fluid level doesn't drop. Then you get to turn it on for 2 seconds, and then turn it back off, and do it over and over again. And you repeat that process over and over and over again. And I keep saying over again because it will take a long, long time. So let's get started. Now the moment of truth. Did it work? I'm up against that tree once again. Before, I couldn't turn this whatsoever, so let's see if I can turn it now. Oh yeah. That is easy. It's actually pushing me off of the tree. Like the motion of the tire is sliding me down the tree instead of holding up against it. So I guess the ram is helping push the weight of the vehicle against the tree, which is pushing me down on it. That's how strong it is, which is awesome. That was pretty straightforward, relatively easy to throw it all together, and it was so much cheaper than going for any of the other kits. I mean, I saved $400 over the redneck ram and $1,700 over doing the whole system. I have linked every single one of these items down in the description below for you guys, so you can pretty much buy exactly what I did and do this exact same system that I just set up. I am going to do an update video later on after I've been driving this quite a bit. It's not my daily driver, so it will be taking a little while, but I am also taking this out this next weekend to go up wheeling in the mountains, up so get some rocks, so I'll definitely be putting it through its paces there. If you like the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'm going to see you guys next time.